Let's take it F1 now. Second round of testing taking place in Barcelona this morning. Our reporter Craig Slater is there. We can speak to him live now. Now, Craig, what's been happening today? Hasn't it all been going to plan for everyone, has it?
Not quite for everyone, but it is an important day for all the teams. This is the first day of the second round of testing, and for most of the teams it's the first chance for them to run their 2012 cars on an actual Grand Prix circuit, this circuit de Catalunya just outside Barcelona. It's a high-speed circuit, lots of high-speed turns. Tyre degradation's a factor here as well, so important for the cars to get a thorough test and get plenty of mileage under their belt. But we have had a little pause in the last few minutes because we have had the first red flag of the day, and that was because the Caterham car of Heikki Kovalainen had a breakdown on turn 16. You can just see images of that now being carried back to the pits for the engineers to take a look at. Heikki Kovalainen had been in very upbeat mood. I chatted to him for a couple of minutes just before he went out for testing today. Their new car, a significant step forward this season. For the first time they're running a KERS system, a kinetic energy recovery system, which recovers energy via brake torsion, and that can add an extra couple of tenths of a second per lap. So they're looking to make it a step forward this season. But a big day, as I've been saying, and 4 current world champions on the track at the moment. Times not of any great significance, I would say, but for the record, Sebastian Vettel, the reigning world champion, has posted the fastest time of the day, 1:24.348, after 13 or so laps. Now he's just ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who's but a half a second slower than him. He's gone rather further this morning. We've also seen Fernando Alonso today. Of course, the Ferrari didn't have the best of times of it for the first 3 days of testing in Jerez, but he did post the fastest time on day 4, although of all the drivers involved in testing, he did actually complete the fewest laps. So getting plenty of mileage in today is doubtly going to be a priority for Fernando Alonso and Ferrari. Also seen Lewis Hamilton in action, as I've been saying. His car, of course, the lone one in the field as it's emerged, not to have this stepped nose for the new season. I was discussing that with Ross Brawn earlier on today, and he was saying, yes, they probably will sacrifice a little bit of aerodynamicism because of that, but in compensation, they will have a lower centre of gravity and might be better able to distribute weight around the car as far as that is concerned. He did say to me that if McLaren do lose the championship this season, it won't be because they're running a step nose. But a particularly big day for Ross Brawn's Mercedes team today was the official launch of their new car. There's been a lot of rumour and intrigue about what that would look like. When it actually came away from under the covers, it wasn't particularly different looking for most of the other cars we've seen, but a lot of suggestions that Brawn had come up with a special little trick or gizmo that would be a game changer in this championship season, a little bit like he did back in 2009 when the team bearing his own name won the championship with Jenson Button. I did put it to him, was he running an F-duct, or was there something underneath the skin that the other teams would have to look out for or be looking out for? This was what he had to say in response to that.
I'm happy about the car, but we're not going to go into details, I'm afraid. It is a very, very competitive business, and we all try and keep any advantage we think we have as quiet as possible. But it's externally, it looks, you'll see it looks a fairly conventional car, but it's improved in every area. And you know, last year we were not good enough, and we looked at every aspect of the car to see how we could improve it. I think we need to achieve some results, and Michael will continue as long as he can achieve results. And we need to give him a car to do that. I think both our drivers are more than capable of winning races if we can create the car. There's two ambitions I have. One is for Nico to win his first race, but the other one is for Michael to win a race again. And wouldn't that be a great story for Formula One if Michael Schumacher won a race again? That would be sensational.
Would be really an enormous story, wouldn't it, if Michael Schumacher could come back and win a race this year. The 7 times world champion, of course. He did speak in Jerez and say that he did think there might be an 8th world championship in him, but the big question is, can Mercedes develop that car? But yeah, him and Nico Rosberg, who has outscored Schumacher in the past 2 seasons, are looking for podium finishes, are looking for race wins this season. The feeling is around this paddock, from the number of engineers and technicians and technical staff I've been speaking to, is that the whole field will concertina this season. So could that enable a team like Mercedes, who ran a pretty distant fourth last season, could that enable them to maybe break into that top three, maybe even challenge for the title itself?
Craig, thank you very much indeed. Oh, very noisy there. Now, Mercedes have launched their car for the 2012 Formula One season in Barcelona today. Seven-time world champion Michael Schumacher was on hand to reveal the W03 with teammate Nico Rosberg. Schumacher will complete the first full day of official testing today, as Mercedes missed the session in Jerez earlier in the month. Unsurprisingly, the team have opted for the new step-nosed look, although team principal Ross Brawn isn't giving away any more secrets.
I'm happy about the car, but we're not going to go into details, I'm afraid. It is a very, very competitive business, and we all try and keep any advantage we think we have as quiet as possible. But it's externally, it looks, you'll see it looks a fairly conventional car, but it's improved in every area. And you know, last year we were not good enough, and we looked at every aspect of the car to see how we could improve it. I think we need to achieve some results, and Michael will continue as long as he can achieve results. And we need to give him a car to do that. I think both our drivers are more than capable of winning races if we can create the car. There's two ambitions I have. One is for Nico to win his first race, but the other one is for Michael to win a race again. And wouldn't that be a great story for Formula One if Michael Schumacher won a race again? That would be sensational.
So the biggest names in racing taking to the track today. Double world champion Sebastian Vettel currently tops the timesheets with a 1 minute 24.348 second lap. That's less than half a second quicker than Lewis Hamilton, who's also in action on day one of this pre-season test. At the moment, they're around 3 seconds off the pace of the fastest lap from last year's winter testing. Not such a smooth run, for the Caterham team. Heikki Kovalainen's brought out the first red flag of the day after a breakdown on turn 16 of the track. Bring you plenty more action live from Barcelona throughout the day.
The second session of Formula One pre-season testing is underway in Barcelona. The German manufacturer Mercedes weren't at the first session in Jerez, but they are in Barcelona, and their drivers, Michael Schumacher and Nico Rosberg, unveiled their car for the 2012 season earlier this morning. The team has opted for the new step-nose look for their car. This will be Schumacher's final year with the team, but what could tempt him to stay on longer?
I think to achieve some results. It's really as simple as that. I mean, Michael enjoys his racing, is very, very committed, and I think we need to achieve some results, and Michael will continue as long as he can achieve results, and we need to give him a car to do that. I think both our drivers are more than capable of winning races if we can create the car. And you know, there's two ambitions I have. One is for Nico to win his first race, but the other one is for Michael to win a race again. And wouldn't that be a great story for Formula One if Michael Schumacher won a race again? That would be sensational.
Red Bull's Sebastian Vettel was also in the paddock earlier on. The team's testing is well underway after making the most of the session at Jerez. They'll be on track again tomorrow. Ferrari's Fernando Alonso has also been out on the track. Ferrari have been happy with their progress, but admit there's still a lot they need to find out about their car.
The morning went reasonable. We had a small issue. We lost maybe 1 hour of track time. But now Fernando is back on track. Is doing the job we programmed to do, which is still a continuation of the job we initiated in Jerez 2 weeks ago. We still have to learn a lot about the behavior of the car. These tests are very, very important. But as we said in the previous days, we don't have to look too much at the stopwatch. We don't have to be conditioned by what we see on the classification at the end of the day.
Let's go back to Barcelona now. Second session of Formula One testing ahead of the 2012 season. Our reporter Craig Slater is there for us. We can speak to him now. Craig, what's happening?
Well, the sun is shining, and as you can hear, the cars are back out onto the track after lunch. Just to bring you right up to date with who's leading the standings at the moment, well, it is the reigning world champion Sebastian Vettel. He's posted the fastest time this morning. Not that times really mean very much at this stage, because we don't know what fuel loads the cars are running, or really what kind of tyres they're on, or how long they're out for particularly. But he leads the way at the moment, ahead of the likes of Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton as well. But in second place, which is very good news for the man I'm about to speak to at the moment, is Nico Hülkenberg, the Force India driver. Now, as I've just said, times don't mean very much. Robert Fernley, you are the deputy team principal at Force India, but are you happy with the way things have gone today and the way things have gone since you arrived in Jerez?
Yeah, actually, Craig, we've had a very, very good programme all the way through. Our unveiling, as you know, which you kindly did, was very successful. Jerez also gave us a lot of information, and we've started well here today. So, yes, all in all, very pleased.
I mean, is this a good track to test yourselves on? I mean, one of the engineers told me earlier on today, if you're fast in Barcelona, you tend to be fast for the rest of the season. So can you get an idea of how you might progress from what happens over these weeks?
I think that Barcelona is, a great aero circuit. So what it does is it gives you the ability to determine where you're going to be for the first half of the season, until we come back basically to Barcelona again. So it is an important circuit for all teams.
What sort of things are you're working on? You can't go into too much specifics, I'm sure you don't want to give much away, but in general terms, what's your strategy for the 4 days here?
Well, I think, in Jerez we were looking mainly at reliability, obviously getting data, again aero data, but here it's very focused on aero data. So most of everything we're doing today is getting recordings, tappings that we have in to give us loadings and everything for the aero side.
So you want to move up to fifth in the constructors' standings by the end of the season. That's the stated target from the team. Your car has had great reviews. Lotus's has as well, which is they had that fifth place last season. Have you taken a look at the opposition, as it were, and what have you made of them?
I think I've looked at all the opposition, and it's all quite good, actually. It's very worrying. I think that all teams are going to be good this year. I mean, I think the battle for fifth place is going to be as exciting as the one for the championship. So there's nothing to choose between them. It's going to be who can deliver in the first flyaway races, and then about rate of development through the season.
People are getting also very excited about your driver lineup and the potential intra-team battle, if you like, between Hülkenberg and Paul di Resta. There's a lot of controversy about so-called pay drivers at the moment. You haven't gone down that route. Do you expect to derive benefit from that?
I think that's probably a bit harsh. I mean, we talk about pay drivers in perhaps the wrong context. I mean, a driver that brings sponsorship with him is an asset to a team. Now, what you want, ideally, is a driver that's got the pace that you want and the sponsorship. Now, you don't always get that, but, what we look at is what are the best drivers that we can afford. And if, in that process, one of them brings sponsorship, it's wonderful. But if not, it's still the best we can get.
And tell us about the positive competitive rivalry you want to see between your two guys.
Well, I think, Nico and Paul have had a year together anyway. Okay, maybe not competing, but they're slightly different personalities. And I think they complement each other very, very well. And they get on well, similar age. It's a very young team from a driver point of view, both from Nico and Paul, and also Jules, of course, as the reserve driver. So
Jules had a bit of a scrape in Jerez, which cost you a day, more or less. How much of a headache was that, missing out on that?
I would have preferred it not to happen, but it did. And these things happen, we've got to accept that if a driver's not trying, then he's not going to make a mistake, and we're not knowing the limits of the car. So we have to accept that these things happen, and we're blooding in young new drivers. It's better it happens in Jerez than it does in one of the races. So
good stuff, Robert. Good to talk to you. Yep, Robert Fernley, the deputy team principal at Force India. They've had a great start to testing here in Barcelona. At the moment, the force is with Force India, it seems.
Thank you, Craig. Right, now...
Barcelona, second session of Formula One testing ahead of the 2012 season. Hasn't been the best day for Team Lotus. Our reporter Craig Slater is there and can tell us more. Craig.
That's right, a bit of a shame for Lotus, because fantastic conditions here in Barcelona today. The sun is shining. It had been forecast to rain, but we haven't seen a drop of that, so most of the teams are out on the track getting plenty of mileage in, because after today they only have 7 more days of testing to go. But yes, it was an early bath, in Lotus's own words today, because they had a problem with the chassis, and this man, Roman Grosjean, can tell us exactly what the problem was, because he was in the car at the time. What went wrong?
Well, no, it's just a small chassis issue, and unfortunately it stopped us running for the day. But we keep our finger crossed that we can run the rest of the test and don't lose that much mileage.
How frustrating is it for you, though, because you had a great series of runs in Jerez?
Yeah, Jerez was really good, and the car is performing well, so we are all happy with that. No, it's better that we have some issue now than in the first race in Melbourne, so in a way I'm happy that it happens now and not later in the season.
But tell me, when you step in a car, and you haven't been in it that much, obviously it's a new car, do you get a feeling in your bones as a driver, whether it's quick or not?
Yeah, you know it quite quickly, and you know if you can trust the car, if you can push the car to the limit without having anything silly on the way back. And this new car is really good because we can go to the limit at every time, and the car is stable, predictable, and that's something that we do like.
There's big things expected of Lotus maybe this season, not such a great year last year. How do you see the shake-up? Maybe, I don't know, do you hope for better than fifth place this season? Can you maybe overtake Mercedes? Maybe hope for better than that?
Well, the aim is to finish fourth in the championship, the constructor championship. So we will give our best to bring it as high as we can. That's for sure. But I hope the car is performing as well as it was in Jerez, and in this case we can fight for some good races.
You want podiums, maybe even a win. I mean, you've got Kimi Räikkönen in the team, and he'll expect it to do well. What's it going to be like matching yourself with him race by race? I mean, it's a great platform for you again, isn't it?
It's very good for the team, and I think we both want to work really hard to bring Lotus as forward as possible on the grid. And there's 23 other drivers to beat on the grid, and that's the main goal.
I mean, you seem very happy, jovial, smiling kind of guy. Kimi always looks very serious. Behind the scenes, has he got a good sense of humour?
Yeah, there's no worries. Kimi's a nice guy, and we go on well together.
Just finally, what is it like for you being back here, back in amongst it all? I mean, it must be great for you.
Yeah, it's a dream. It's a dream to come true again, and I've been working very hard in the last 2 years. And today I think I enjoy every second in Formula One, even if I'm not in the car today. Never mind, we are here, we are ready for a new season, a new challenge, and I hope I can grow up with the team and we can achieve some very, very good thing in the future.
And I mean, you brought a winning habit here, you were winning last season, so more wins this season maybe?
One would be already fantastic, we will see. I think we have to take things after things.
Okay, great stuff. Lovely to talk to you, Roman, and all the very best this season. Yeah, wonderful to speak to one of only 24 Grand Prix drivers in the world live on Sky Sports News. Roman was the fastest in Jerez. You know, with this new car, he might just yet be the fastest in Barcelona.
Thank you, Craig.
Now, the second session of Formula One pre-season testing is underway in Barcelona this week. The German manufacturer Mercedes, they weren't at the first session in Jerez, but they are in Barcelona, and their drivers, Michael Schumacher and Nico Rosberg, unveiled their car for the 2012 season earlier this morning. The team has opted for the new step-nose look for their car. This will be Schumacher's final year with the team, and he wasn't giving too much away about the new car.
We have certainly some positive input, but what is worth this input, I don't know, because you really have to watch it in proportion to the other guys. We have worked very hard on the car, definitely achieved quite a few targets that we were looking for, and now we hope it really moves us a step up to where we've been last year.
Specifically, can you tell us in which areas do you think it has improved, how it feels better handling?
No.
Michael enjoys his racing, is very, very committed, and I think we need to achieve some results, and Michael will continue as long as he can achieve results, and we need to give him a car to do that. I think both our drivers are more than capable of winning races if we can create the car, and there's two ambitions I have. One is for Nico to win his first race, but the other one is for Michael to win a race again. And wouldn't that be a great story for Formula One if Michael Schumacher won a race again? That would be sensational.
Contrast to Barcelona, because the new Formula One season just over 4 weeks away now. Teams have taken another big step towards that first race in Australia. Drivers putting their new cars through their paces at the second round of testing out in Spain, and it has been a significant day for Mercedes. Let's speak to Craig Slater. He's in Barcelona for us. So, Craig, the first day of a second session of testing has been taking place today, and understands a very bad testing for one particular team.
That's absolutely right. We have some breaking news at the moment here from Barcelona, and it is bad news for Team Lotus, because my understanding is that they are in the process at the moment of packing up and heading off home. If you just take a look down at the paddock area here, you'll see right down at the foot there's one of the Team Lotus trucks. Now, they only managed 7 laps today with Romain Grosjean. Then they had a chassis problem, which they had to bring the car back. That was the end of their driving for the day. Heikki Kovalainen was due to drive tomorrow, but he will no longer drive. It's my understanding is that this chassis problem cannot be repaired, and they cannot replace it either. So a terrible blow for them. They're heading off home. Their week of testing here is over, and they will now only have 4 days testing remaining before the start of the Formula One season itself. But so bad news for them. But let's speak to someone who's had rather contrasting fortunes today. This is Christian Horner, the team principal of Red Bull. First of all, a quick word about Lotus, because there is this camaraderie here in the paddock area. I guess you'll be sorry for them that they've had to pack up and go home.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what problems they've had. I'm just listening to what you were saying there, but I'm sure it's a busy time of year for all the teams, and they'll be working hard to get themselves sorted out.
But again, it looked like a very solid day for your team today. Sebastian Vettel on top of the timesheets again. I mean, times, I suppose, don't mean very much at this stage. I suppose everyone wants to know, how much are you holding back? You probably won't tell me, but how much are you holding back?
Yeah, as you say, the times mean very little. So we're trying to work through a program and gather as much data and information on the car as we can, give the drivers as much of a feel as they can. Sebastian's now effectively halfway through his testing, before Melbourne. He's only got 3 days left, so we'll focus on some other bits and pieces tomorrow, and then hopefully go into that final test armed with even more information.
You're on schedule. Are you happy with the way things are progressing right now?
I think at the moment, we're content, but you always want more. You always want more laps. You always, never have enough time in the day, and especially with the testing being so condensed. This year it was a cold start this morning, so that plays a little bit havoc with these cars. They don't like running in, very cold conditions. So, and of course, there's not many tracks that we run at where it'll be 2 or 3 degree track temperature. So, but it's the same for everybody. So it's just a matter of gathering as much information as you can, and working through the different programs that the engineers have set themselves.
Of course, we had the last of the potential contenders, I suppose you might say. Cars revealed today that the new Mercedes came out. I mean, Adrian Newey perhaps suspected that they might have something up their sleeve. That was why they were delaying the launch. Did you see anything in the car superficially that surprised you?
I've only seen some quick pictures of it, so nothing that stood out to me. But it'll take a much more trained eye than mine to see that. So I'm sure that the different teams, as they look at all the cars with interest, to see which different interpretations different designers have come up with to the regulations that are obviously the same for everybody. So obviously all the cars are now pretty much here. I think there's only one team missing now from this test. So it's obviously everybody's going about their own business, and in preparation for that first race in Melbourne in less than a month now.
And you had to build the team up here as well. Do you sense it's a significant year for Mercedes, their third season? I mean, and they've strengthened behind the scenes as well in their technical department. I mean, over the course of this year, could they pose a threat?
They're a good team. They've got some good people there, so it'd be foolish to underestimate them. But the stopwatch never lies. So we'll see when we get to Melbourne where the pecking order is, and then of course the development is such in Formula One that it doesn't stand still. That it'll be a race all the way through the season to get performance on the car, and I'm sure that there will be swings and roundabouts for all the teams.
Looking at Sebastian Vettel's demeanour as he sort of walks around the paddock area. He seems incredibly relaxed. Do you think he's got a little edge on perhaps every other driver on the grid just because of the last couple of seasons he has? Double world champion now, looking for a third title. Do you think maybe every other driver has a few to outspar him?
Obviously his confidence is high, winning a double world championship, but he's very focused on preparation. This isn't qualifying, this isn't the race, so he's spending time with the engineers, focusing on his preparation, on the car's preparation, being on hand to give his advice and feedback to the different engineering departments that rely on both his and Mark's feedback from the few days that we have in the car.
Just finally, we're hearing from the United Nations with regard to the Bahrain Grand Prix that they think it should go ahead. I mean, you're happy that maybe that takes the decision a little bit out of the team's hands. And you said the other night that you were quite comfortable with where the FIA stand on this, and you're happy to be led by them.
Yeah, we trust in the FIA and the promoter's judgment. It's a Formula One World Championship. The FIA together with the promoter set the calendar. There's a race in Bahrain. And if it's there, we'll be there, and there's no signs to say that it won't be on the calendar. So we have every intention of being in that race and hopefully being competitive in that race.
Christian, thank you very much for joining us live on Sky Sports News. It's always a pleasure. Thank you very much. Yeah, a dominant day again, I suppose, for Red Bull. We can't read too much into times at this stage, but they're at the top of the pack. Will they stay here for the rest of the season? None of the teams will like to see the fact that Red Bull looks very reliable, and it seems to be already on the pace.
Craig, thank you.
Mercedes have launched their car for the new Formula One season on the first day of testing in Barcelona. Mercedes, who are still yet to win a Grand Prix with their own team, ran last year's car at the first test session as they continue to work on their 2012 machine. Michael Schumacher and Nico Rosberg unveiled the new car before testing began. Team principal Ross Brawn doesn't regret getting their car to the track later than their rivals.
I'm happy about the car, but we're not going to go into details, I'm afraid. It is a very, very competitive business, and we all try and keep any advantage we think we have as quiet as possible. But it's externally, you'll see it looks a fairly conventional car, but it's improved in every area. And last year we were not good enough, and we looked at every aspect of the car to see how we could improve it. I think we need to achieve some results, and Michael will continue as long as he can achieve results. And we need to give him a car to do that. I think both our drivers are more than capable of winning races if we can create the car. There's two ambitions I have. One is for Nico to win his first race, but the other one is for Michael to win a race again. And wouldn't that be a great story for Formula One if Michael Schumacher won a race again? That would be sensational.
Schumacher was behind the wheel today and set the 6th fastest time of the day.
We have certainly some positive input, but what is worth this input, I don't know, because you really have to watch it in proportion to the other guys. We have worked very hard on the car, definitely achieved quite a few targets that we were looking for, and now we hope it really moves us a step up to where we've been last year.
Specifically, can you tell us in which areas do you think it has improved, how it feels better handling?
No.
Well, champion Sebastian Vettel showed he's still the man to beat by finishing the day fastest with a best time that was nearly 1 second quicker than Schumacher's.
I haven't seen much of the Mercedes yet, so if you walk down and they are all happy, then it's bad news for the rest of us. If they are not so happy, then that's maybe good news. I don't know. It's the first day, the first proper day they had with their new car, so it's way too early to tell. I think at this stage, I think they will be happy if they were just able to run, so we need to see.
Yeah. I mean, Ferrari, they say only 20% of the car. I mean, how much more is there to come from the new Red Bull?
Well, I think everyone has a little bit to look forward to the last race. I don't think we have that much coming, but I'm looking forward to the last test and then really try to prepare, get into the race mode, and try to prepare the start of the season.
Now, Wales captain Sam Warburton and lock Alan Wynne-Jones have both been included in the starting 15 to face...
Until the start of the new Formula One season, double world champion Sebastian Vettel has sent out an ominous message to his rivals. The Red Bull driver posted the fastest time of testing in Barcelona, while Britain's Lewis Hamilton was third quickest in his new McLaren.
The last of 2012's potential contenders officially unmasked. After a week of spy photos and rumours of secret aerodynamic devices, the new Mercedes emerged a typical 2012 design, on the surface at least. Michael Schumacher gave it its first public spin. The team have already banked over 300 kilometres in the new car in private tests, having finished a distant fourth in last season's Constructors' Championship. Do they expect a major step forward?
We have certainly some positive input, but what is worth this input, I don't know, because you really have to watch it in proportion to the other guys. We have worked very hard on the car, definitely achieved quite a few targets that we were looking for, and now we hope it really moves us a step up to where we've been last year.
Specifically, can you tell us in which areas do you think it has improved, how it feels better handling?
No.
He was, however, prepared to discuss his rivals' technicalities, specifically McLaren's. He had a close-up view of Lewis Hamilton, who posted the third quickest time in what may be the sleekest car on the grid. But can it get its graceful nose in front?
Well, I keep saying there's many ways to Rome, and obviously there seem to be two different paths that has been chosen. What is the better one? We'll maybe find out later time in the season.
Elsewhere, this was a day to forget for Lotus. Roman Grosjean had been fastest in a 2012 car in Jerez. Here he managed just 7 laps before a chassis problem ended their day, and an inability to repair or replace it ended their week. They packed up and shipped out. Heikki Kovalainen was also left frustrated as his Caterham was hauled back to the pits. But Force India continued to impress. After some long runs, Nico Hülkenberg was second fastest, behind Sebastian Vettel, who demonstrated consistent pace and banked some useful mileage. A condensed midfield and tighter battle at the top are now consensus pit lane opinions. But any more precise forecasts than that at this stage would be snap judgments. Craig Slater, Sky Sports, Barcelona.